Hey guys, my name's Nate and I'm the Outdoorsman, and I want to do a follow-up to my canceled overnighter trip video that should have been posted a week before this one. If you haven't seen that, I'll put an iCard up here so you can go see it. There'll also be a link to an end card, also probably a link down below, but definitely worth going to see that before you see this. Because I'm going to be talking about the events that happen in that. However, you may want to see this and then kind of watch that and you get a little bit of an idea. Who knows? I don't know. But anyways, I kind of want to talk about essentially the events that kind of caused us to cancel the trip because I don't think it was fully shown or fully expressed well enough in it. And I also want to show off the nozzles because I actually have them now. I have the new nozzles from Mazama Designs. I actually reached out to them and I have an update on that. And also I want to talk about my mood in that video. One of the things is, usually for a video like this, I'd like to have an outdoor background, but I've already filmed this twice. Both times, the first time I forgot my microphone when I went out and I filmed it without it. I wasn't too happy with the audio and also the content because I had the update from the Mazama Designs nozzle. My neighbors are doing construction, so and there's a storm going by, so if any background noise, I do apologize. So this time I'm just deciding to do it in my studio. So. But anyways, so let's talk about why we canceled it. Because I feel like it kind of focused heavily on two portions of it a little too much, which was the bear poop and the nozzle. Kind of really focused a little bit too much on that, and I kind of want to go through it step by step. So I had chosen a spot. I'll try and remember to put up a map of the path we took. Actually, I'll try and choose the map that I drew for essentially the people I left a plan with. I'll try and put that up on the screen. But basically, I had chosen a path based on a map. Based off of an area that looked relatively flat and that was near water. I hadn't been in that region before, so I wasn't too sure what the terrain would be like, but I figured since it'd be flat and since we're using hammocks, we should be fine. But one of the problems was once we got there, we were able to find an area that was right near water because we were following the river or brook, but the big issue ended up being was the trees were way too dense. So, and I wasn't really filming during that because we were really just bushwhacking, and I forgot to film, to be completely honest. I'm trying to hone down my vlogging style of filming. So it was just way too dense. We found an ideal spot, or decent spot. It wasn't really that great, but enough that I would have been able to hang up a couple hammocks, possibly put up a couple tarps, and it would have been good for the night. Just when I was about to start looking at a couple trees, I noticed the bear poop. I put my hand near it and noticed it looked a bit warm. I'm not great with identifying bear poop. I'm not experienced with it, so I just took that as, okay, it looked fresh to me. I'm gonna go with, okay, this is fresh. Let's move to site 2 that I picked, because I picked 2 sites that I left to plan with. And not really much else of a plan past that. Because generally site 1 normally works. So we decided, okay, we're gonna move to site 2. I throw my backpack, and just as I did that, the strap, actually I have my backpack right here. This bugger right here. This portion of it caught underneath the essentially, I'll try and put up a picture of it, but basically underneath the overhang of the flow valve and launched it off. All I heard was a twang and that went flying off. What ended up happening was then we started looking for the water or the flow valve, couldn't find it. I got really frustrated, but we decided, okay, we had to sit down and decide, okay, what are we gonna do? And I knew I had to make a repair. So we knew we were gonna be moving, so I made a quick repair. And it was enough that I could get a little bit of water came out and it dripped, but it wasn't pouring out. So we had to kind of make a decision. We had a bag that wasn't really functional. It was going to be high 80s, low 90s that day. And the next day it was going to be high 90s, but it was going to feel like 100. So we weren't 100% going a greater distance and hiking back with a 2-liter thing that wasn't that functional and a 3-liter hydration bladder that was, functioning, but for 2 people, because we sweat a lot and we dehydrate pretty easily, and I don't mess with hydration. So we decided, okay, we had then talked about, okay, should we move to somewhere else, see if we can find a different campsite closer to there. And since I hadn't left that as a plan, I didn't want to actually go that route, because I don't want to tell people I'm here when I'm over here. That safety wise, when you're camping, that's just no bueno. I'm working on a way right now of being able to do that. I'm looking at trying to get I'm looking at getting like a field communicator, a GPS, like a satellite communicator, to do that. Because I'm going to need one for some upcoming trips anyways, or I want one for some upcoming trips, but it would have been useful in situations. So we debated moving to those different locations, one of which was Black Pond, which we've camped at previously before, so we knew that location, we knew we could camp there. But we know, since we had no way of communicating that, we just decided to cut our losses and head out. One of the other issues was neither of us the heat wasn't making us feel that great. I was not feeling super great, and she was having a couple bits of health issues, and I was having some health issues. Nothing that was too serious, but enough that it was making it uncomfortable. So it's kind of just like everything all together was kind of just making it just not a great trip. So what ended up happening was we just decided, okay, we're cutting our losses, let's hike out. So we hiked out. So we ended up making that decision. And truly one of the biggest things was, especially with the dehydration, that was one of the big things that was important to me. And one of my big takeaways from that is the thing that I'm more afraid of is dehydration. I'm more afraid of dehydration than I am than a bear. And I've as I said in that video, I've had some I have stories of when I've almost passed out from heat exhaustion and dehydration alone, 5 feet from a field in the middle of the woods alone, and not had anyone to tell where I was. And back in the day before I had proper clothing, and I think I have a video on it, and it's just things like that. I don't mess with dehydration because I've had some really bad stories. Let me get the nozzles because I forgot to bring them in here for this, so hold on one second. Okay, so with Mazama Designs, in the video I said I would have words with them. And I did. I emailed them. I waited a few days. I let myself cool down. I let myself kind of catch my breath, relax, process the whole trip, and I reached out to them. I let them know kind of what happened. I even told them how it happened, and I didn't ask for anything in return, because quite frankly I didn't want anything in return. I just wanted them to know there was a problem with their product. They told me I was right. I was dumbfounded by that. So this is the, let's see if I can get my camera to focus. Come on, camera, there we go. So there is the repair that I ran. The wood is kind of shriveled up a bit because wood does that. So this is the old one, where it broke. Well, they sent me 2 nozzles. So they sent me a replacement one. They sent me one with a push button. And it does still have that little lip right there, like the other one does, but it's not as pronounced as the old one is. And I've actually tried pushing it up. The other one, it reached down as further, and it was like a main part of the body, and I really am a bit more confident that this one won't get launched out. That this one is the push button model, and they said this is the newer model that they've been putting out. But this is a big but. They also sent me their fancier model as an apology. And that is something that I highly respect. I'll put the name down here. I should have remembered it. But it is basically their upgraded nozzle system, which has a cap that actually protects the nozzle, which I like. And this actually may go in my Mazama Designs bottle. And it has, the way you unlock it is you actually roll it. And the other thing is, the locking system, I actually like this. And I like this portion of it. And honestly, it's actually pretty good. So they sent me, as I said, they sent me an upgraded system. And, I mean, market value for it, $11. But nevertheless, I'm really glad they sent me a couple replacements. I had a couple replacement parts in my what's the word I'm looking for? In my checkout cart. I was buying some stuff anyways recently, and I had some replacement parts. But one of the things I've learned from this is, even though like if I swap that up for it, this is going in my repair kit, in my first aid kit or something else, but this is going in a repair kit along with this, because what I've learned from this, when I said along with this, I pointed to the other system, because what I've learned from this is bite valves break. I should have known that, but bite valves can break decently easily, and I've never had one break on me like that before. But when they break, that can completely destroy a trip, and I would rather one not destroy my trip. So having a backup may save my trip. So lesson learned from this trip is having a backup bite valve. You learn that lesson too. Backup bite valves. I want to see that from everyone. Even if you don't carry a bladder, backup bite valve. No, I'm joking. You don't need one if you don't carry one. I could have repaired it. So one of the big things one of the other things I want to add to this, because I think I said it in the outdoor one, that I actually forgot. So I'm running off of notes so I don't blabber on too long, and I think I actually forgot to include in my notes. So one of the things with this is I know someone's going to say, a couple things I know people are going to say is, why don't you run the repair and just continue on? And like something like that. Or two, you should have just run off of that little bit of water. And my answer to this is, I'm out there for enjoyment. I'm out there to just enjoy the trip. This is, I'm not out there for survival. I did run a small repair, but I didn't want to run a bigger repair. That's why. And the big thing is, if I was in the middle of a 3-day trip, 4-day trip, I would have just kept going. I would have made a better repair. I would have sat down at the end of the day, I would have sat there, bushcrafted up myself with a nice solid repair, and just moved on with the day. Moved on to the next day. That's what I would have done. But we had the option to leave, and so we left. And with that, we're also, I actually talk about this a little bit more, if you're curious. The July episode of the Wilderness Wanderers podcast, we actually talk about ditching camp a bit more. We debrief about it, like we also debrief the trip a little bit more, me and Tom. So if you're curious of like my mentality of leaving camp and stuff, you want to hear me and Tom talk about it, listen out for that. If it's out by the time this video comes out, I don't know when it is. It's not a collaboration video with this. I'll try and link it down below, but I'm not guaranteeing it will be. But if you're a listener to the pod, definitely check it out. Anyways, on to the other part. I wanted to talk about my mood. Because after we decided to leave, or actually once the bite valve broke, you saw my mood go. And I wanted to talk about, one thing is, I'm going to talk about how I can get into moods like that in much greater detail in the future. I haven't figured out exactly how I want to talk about that. I am kind of doing it in a slightly nuanced way, but I want to talk about it, if that makes sense. I don't want to just like blabber on about it. I've been working on a script, but nevertheless, I can just be like that. My mood can just kind of turn like that. I can get really down, and by watching certain videos like that where it's kind of vlog style videos, and the Thoru Falls series, this one particularly, and I think there's a couple other ones, you can kind of piece together what I'm talking about, and even by what I'm probably going to mention in this as well, you can kind of piece together where I'm going with all of this. But defeats to things I enjoy, like defeats can kind of hit me pretty hard. And I'd been planning this trip for months. Not like constantly for months like some people do. Like every so often I'd pick up a map, look at it, figure it out. When we were out there in May, I tried to scout out a couple locations. We couldn't really fully scout it out, so we kind of scouted out part of it. We didn't scout out to the camp, unfortunately. So I was trying to scout out via maps, and I also bought a bunch of new gear to test out on this trip. And unfortunately, the hydration bladder wasn't one of them. I'd used it on a few different trips, but like I got a new hammock. I've got a whole new hammock set up. I got my pack down to 25 pounds. And that was me actually adding extra stuff to it because I wanted some extra stuff. I actually could have had it lighter. Legitimately lighter. And I'm working on lightening my kit, and I was excited to try out my light kit because I've never had an overnight pack that light. But because the failure on that of something I was so excited for months failed, the depression hit me so hard, and I couldn't shake it for days. It hit me pretty hard. Cassie got over it pretty quick. She was bummed, but I was bummed about it for days. I couldn't shake it. Honestly, actually, there was one thing that helped cheer me up, because after, like, we went out for a hike one day, which was nice. That cheered me up a bit. One of the things that really kind of got me back into the swing of things was, there's a video that I don't know if it's going to be out before this or after this, but I did something silly with friends, and I did a video while I was there, and I can't wait to show you guys. All I'm gonna say is it's about the outdoors, but it's not a traditional one of my videos. But it is. And I can't wait to show you guys. Because I'm just, it's me being silly. But yeah, as I said, we talk about kind of like a bit about the mood, the ditch in camp, and a bit more in the Wilderness Wanderers podcast. Me and Tom do. If you want to listen to it, go check it out there. I know this is a bit of a long video, but I kind of wanted to debrief about this. This is probably as long as the video itself, but I like to, after videos like that where things don't always go as right, I like to discuss it, because I like talking about it. I like talking about when things go wrong. I like talking about why they went wrong. I like like analyzing it. And the people ask, well, you're overthinking it. Well, overthinking it and thinking about why things went wrong is how we learn. It's how you learn. It's how I learn. And if you learn from my channel, if I learn from my channel, then there's a good reason for me to be here. And I know there are people that learn from me. And if you learn from my mistakes, and if all you've learned from this is carry an extra one of these from that video and this video, and that saves you on a trip in the future, then I have done my job. And that was a gust of wind in the background that you guys probably didn't hear. But seriously, just get outside, have fun. My name's Nate. I'm the Outdoorsman. I kind of wanted to just chat about this. Probably wasn't needed, and I don't care, because I needed to talk about it. I wanted to talk about it. And this is my channel. Have a good day. Go in the woods. Have fun. See you, everyone.